Welcome to tonight's sleep story. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, and let go of the day. Allow yourself to relax and settle into a peaceful state as my voice gently guides you through a world of calm and tranquility. With each word, feel the tension slip away, leaving only relaxation and comfort. Let's drift into a soothing story together as you begin your journey into a restful and rejuvenating sleep.
You find yourself in a quiet studio, bathed in the soft, golden light of the early morning. The faint smell of oil paint fills the air, mixing with the scent of aged wood and old parchment. The world outside is still, untouched by the bustle of the city. But inside this room, time seems to stretch, suspended in a space where creation is the only language that matters. You are surrounded by canvases of every size, some half-finished, others already bursting with vibrant color. But one canvas, in particular, catches your attention. It is a portrait in progress, delicate yet bold, and the brushstrokes, though measured, convey an intensity that draws you in. You take a step closer and realize it is the work of Leonardo da Vinci, perhaps the most celebrated artist in the history of the world. You can almost feel the energy in the room as da Vinci dips his brush into the rich pigments, mixing them carefully to achieve just the right hue. The strokes of the brush are gentle yet purposeful, his hands moving with a precise, deliberate grace that reflects a deep knowledge of both the art of painting and the science of human anatomy. His work is a delicate balance between art and intellect, between creativity and scientific curiosity. Every line, every contour of the face he is creating is infused with a careful study of nature, as if the very essence of life itself is being captured on the canvas. The warmth of the candlelight casts a soft glow on da Vinci's face as he works. He pauses for a moment, stepping back from the canvas to examine the portrait. His brow furrows slightly, not in frustration, but in contemplation. The expression he is capturing, the way the light falls across the subject's face, needs to be perfect. There is no room for haste in his world, only precision and patience. You can almost hear the faint scratching of his quill as he makes notes in his journal, sketching out his thoughts and observations on human expression, light and shadow. Every brushstroke is a conversation between the artist and the world he observes. The canvas becomes a place where Leonardo can express not just the likeness of his subjects, but the very essence of their being. The play of light and shadow on the skin, the tilt of the head, the subtle way the lips curve, each detail is a moment of discovery, a revelation of the human experience. Leonardo's art is not just a reflection of the world around him. It is a window into the soul. As you stand in this room, you begin to understand why da Vinci was considered a genius. His mind, constantly curious and questioning, sought to merge the worlds of art and science in a way no one had done before. For him, the canvas was not simply a place for aesthetic expression, but a laboratory for discovery. His works, like The Last Supper and Mona Lisa, are not just visually stunning. They are studies in human emotion, light, and perspective. Each piece is a culmination of years of observation, research, and experimentation. You can almost feel Leonardo's passion for the world around him as you gaze at the Mona Lisa. The woman's eyes seem to follow you wherever you go, her mysterious smile evoking both serenity and intrigue. It's as though she's holding a secret, something between her and Leonardo something only he could fully understand. The light that dances across her face is not an accident. It is the result of hours of meticulous study on how light interacts with the human form. In every brushstroke, Da Vinci captured not just the likeness of a woman, but the depth of human emotion, the complexity of the soul. The world outside the studio continues on, but inside, time seems to stand still. As Leonardo paints, he is not just creating a work of art, he is engaged in a conversation with the universe itself, translating his observations and insights into something eternal. You can see the connection between the artist and his creation, the way his mind flows into the canvas, the way his emotions and intellect are woven together to create something that will outlast him. Each brushstroke, each movement of his hand is an act of devotion, a way of bringing the invisible to life, of capturing a moment in time that will never fade, even as centuries pass. As the final touches are added to the Mona Lisa, you feel the stillness of the room settle around you. There is a quiet satisfaction in the air, the sense that something remarkable has just been completed. But for Da Vinci, the work is never truly finished. Even after the portrait is done, his mind continues to explore, to question, to discover. And as you step away from the canvas, you realize that this moment, this place, is where the magic happens, where the soul of the artist and the world of creation converge. The warmth of the fire flickers gently in the corner of the room, casting long, dancing shadows that stretch across the canvas before you. As you sit quietly in the corner, you watch the artist, Rembrandt van Rijn, hunched over his easel, his brush poised delicately in his hand. His face is illuminated by the soft glow of a nearby candle, casting deep shadows across his features. In these moments, you can sense the intensity of his focus. The silence in the room is palpable, broken only by the quiet strokes of his brush on the canvas. Rembrandt's work is not simply about capturing what the eye sees. It is about evoking what the heart feels. His paintings are filled with a deep, emotional resonance, and every stroke he lays down on the canvas is an expression of his understanding of human vulnerability. The play of light and shadow in his work is not just a technique, it is a language through which he speaks to the soul. You can feel the intensity of his gaze as he observes the world around him, the way the light falls on the faces of his subjects, the delicate transition from light to dark, and the deep contrasts that make his paintings feel alive as the brush moves across the canvas. You notice the softness with which Rembrandt handles his subjects, his approach to light, revolutionary. Instead of just illuminating a figure, he allows the darkness to hold as much importance. Shadows in Rembrandt's world are not merely voids. They are active elements of his compositions, pulling the viewer's gaze in, revealing more than what is immediately apparent. You can feel the weight of his quiet, methodical process. His portraits are not just representations. They are intimate, emotional explorations of his subjects' inner lives. Each person in his paintings is not just a face, but a story, a moment in time frozen in the perfect balance of light and shadow. As Rembrandt works, he becomes lost in the intensity of his task, his movements fluid but deliberate. His fingers move quickly and precisely, yet with a softness that reveals his deep understanding of texture and detail. You watch as he paints the folds of fabric with great care, each stroke adding depth and life to the materials. The fabric seems to shimmer under his brush, the light catching in places, revealing every wrinkle, every curve of the cloth. The play of light on the folds of the fabric brings out a sense of motion, as if the garment were alive, breathing with the subject. Every detail in Rembrandt's paintings is treated with the utmost respect. From the smallest flicker of light on a piece of jewelry to the way the shadow falls across a person's hand. You sit in the stillness, the quiet surrounding you, and you realize that in these intimate moments, Rembrandt is revealing more than just a likeness. He is revealing a truth about his subjects, something deeper than the physical features of the face or the outer clothing they wear. Rembrandt's portraits are windows into the human soul. His subjects are not just passive figures. They are brought to life with a depth of feeling and emotional intensity that makes them impossible to ignore. Even in the darkest parts of his paintings, there is a sense of humanity that shines through, a connection between the artist and the person he is painting, a shared understanding of what it means to be human. As you watch, the room grows quiet once more. Rembrandt steps back from the canvas, his eyes scanning the work, searching for any imperfections, any detail that might be missing. There is a satisfaction in his gaze as he examines the light and shadow, the depth of his work. You can see that. For Rembrandt, every painting is a challenge, not just to capture the likeness of the person, but to uncover something more. He paints not just what he sees, but what he feels, what he understands about the human experience. In the silence, you find yourself reflecting on the beauty of Rembrandt's work. His self-portraits, especially, speak not just of his artistic skill, but of his inner world. As you look at them, you sense the loneliness, the sadness, but also the acceptance and understanding that Rembrandt had for himself. His self-portraits are not just about his appearance, but about his struggle with the passage of time, his reflections on aging, and his attempts to reconcile the complexities of his life. The Rembrandt self-portrait is not simply a face. It is a mirror, revealing the artist's innermost thoughts, fears, and desires. As the light begins to fade and the candles burn low, you realize that Rembrandt's art is a constant dialogue between light and shadow, between the visible and the hidden. It is a reminder that in every person there is both light and dark, both joy and sorrow, both strength and fragility. And in his paintings, Rembrandt shows us that both are necessary to create the full picture of who we are. His mastery of light and shadow is not just technical, it is philosophical. He teaches us that in order to understand the whole of a person, we must acknowledge both the light and the dark. The music of Rembrandt's brush, quiet and steady, fills the room as he steps away from the canvas. His work is complete for now, but you can feel the quiet energy that remains in the air. It is the energy of creation, of something that will never fade. Rembrandt's art will live on forever, a reflection of his genius and the humanity he captured with such love and care. As you settle deeper into the quiet of the room, the soft murmur of the world outside fades completely, and you are drawn once again into the world of art. This time, it is not the steady brushstrokes of Rembrandt or the careful precision of Da Vinci. The room you find yourself in is filled with a different energy, one that is raw, passionate, and alive. You can almost feel the energy crackling in the air, like the brushstrokes themselves are bursting with emotion. You are now in the studio of Vincent van Gogh, the painter who transformed his suffering into vibrant, pulsating color. The scent of turpentine is heavy in the air, and the walls are filled with the riot of Van Gogh's work. His paintings are not just colors on a canvas, they are the echo of his soul, a reflection of the deep turmoil, the yearning, and the undying hope that never left him, even in his darkest moments. Starry Night seems to swirl before your eyes, the bold blues and yellows creating a cosmic dance that feels at once alive and eternal. Van Gogh's brush moves with an urgency, each stroke filled with a feverish need to express the inexpressible. Imagine Van Gogh hunched over his canvas, his fingers stained with paint as his eyes flicker with a mixture of concentration and pain. The canvas before him is alive, not just with the shapes of the world around him, but with the emotions that swirled inside him. His sunflowers, though brilliant and bold, seem to speak of fleeting beauty, of life that blooms brightly for a short time, only to wither and fade. But within that fleeting beauty, there is a sense of defiance, of a will to live fully, to feel deeply. No matter the cost, every stroke of Van Gogh's brush is a cry for connection, a desire to communicate the emotions that words cannot capture. He pours his soul into each painting, creating worlds of vibrant color and swirling energy. It's as if the very act of painting is both a release and a battle, one in which Van Gogh wrestles with the intense feelings that often overwhelmed him. His work, though often associated with chaos, carries an undercurrent of hope. There is beauty even in the turmoil, and in that beauty, a profound message that even in darkness, there can be light. As the music of the Starry Night echoes in your mind, you feel the intensity of Van Gogh's emotional landscape. His struggle with mental illness was a constant companion, a shadow that loomed over his every step. But within that struggle was an unwavering desire to connect, to create, to leave something behind that would speak to others. His paintings, often seen as reflections of his mental state, are more than just depictions of inner turmoil. They are windows into his deep, unrelenting love for the world around him, a world he saw through a lens that was both sharp and blurred. At the same time, the irises, another one of Van Gogh's masterpieces, speak of growth and hope, even in the face of his deep suffering. The flowers stand tall against the backdrop of their surroundings, their colors vivid and full of life. You can almost see Van Gogh's eyes as he painted them, filled with the same intensity and longing that is woven through his work. His art is not simply an escape from his pain. It is an act of survival, an attempt to make sense of a world that often seemed too overwhelming to bear. In the midst of Van Gogh's creative fire, you can feel the isolation he often experienced. His emotional vulnerability is evident in his work, but so is his determination. Each painting was an act of rebellion against the silence that threatened to overtake him. Through his self-portrait, you witness a man who, despite the loneliness and suffering he endured, still sought to understand himself and the world around him. The brushstrokes, bold and uncompromising, reveal a man who was willing to show the world his raw, unfiltered self. Van Gogh's art was not meant to be understood immediately. It was an invitation to see the world through his eyes, to experience the intensity of color, the pulse of energy, the storm of emotions that swirled in his mind. His work challenges the viewer to feel, not just observe. As you stand before his wheat field with crows, You can sense the tension in the air, the sense of something about to shift. The crows fly in chaotic formation above the wheat, and you are left with a lingering sense of unease, yet also a sense of inevitability, as if Van Gogh knew that life, like the wheat and the crows, was constantly in motion, constantly changing. The music continues in your mind, softening as the last strokes of the brush fade from the canvas. You feel a sense of release, a quiet acceptance of Van Gogh's journey, even though it was fraught with pain and loss. His life was short, but his work continues to resonate, forever vibrant and full of life. Despite the shadows that hovered over him, Van Gogh's art is a testament to the power of the human spirit, a spirit that can endure, that can create, and that can leave something behind that will outlast the artist. As the sounds of sunflowers gently drift away, you are left with the essence of Van Gogh's legacy. His paintings, though born from his struggles, are now symbols of strength, passion, and resilience. The turbulence of his inner world has been transformed into something beautiful, something that continues to speak to the hearts of those who see his work. The colors may have faded with time, but the emotion, the energy, and the spirit behind them remain alive, forever captured in the swirling strokes of Van Gogh's brush. As the moonlight filters through the window, you find yourself gently drawn into a new world. The stillness in the room seems to soften, and the air feels cool and refreshing, as though a breeze is stirring the very air around you. You are in the studio of Claude Monet, the man who saw the world in fleeting moments of light, color, and movement. The room is quiet, save for the soft rustle of the brushes and the light swish of the canvas being transformed before you. Monet's approach to painting is unlike anything you've witnessed before. Unlike his predecessors, who sought to capture the world with exacting precision, Monet's work is an exploration of the moment, the interplay of light, color, and perception. He is not concerned with the fine details of a subject, but rather with the feeling that subject evokes, the light that dances on it, the way the atmosphere shifts with every passing moment. You feel the energy in the room as Monet dips his brush into the bright pigments, bringing the world outside his window to life, each stroke fluid, as though the landscape itself is breathing. Monet's impression, Sunrise, the painting that gave the Impressionist movement its name, begins to form before your eyes. You see the delicate hues of orange, purple, and blue blend together in a soft, harmonious dance, capturing the early morning light as it touches the water. The scene is not a strict depiction of reality, but an emotional expression of the moment. The colors swirl, suggesting the rising sun rather than illustrating it with defined shapes. The brushstrokes are loose, almost as if they are incomplete, but in their incompleteness, they are perfect, capturing the essence of the scene, the feeling of the moment, rather than its rigid details. Monet's genius lies in his ability to translate his observations into the language of color. His water lilies, which fill the canvas with tranquil, reflective surfaces, invite you to gaze into a world of stillness and movement all at once. The gentle ripples on the water, the softness of the flowers, the interplay of light on the surface, they create an atmosphere of calmness, a feeling of peace that seems to stretch beyond the boundaries of the canvas. As you sit in Monet's studio, you can feel the air around you shifting with every stroke of the brush. The very essence of the world outside the trees, the river, the sky becomes part of the work itself. infused with Monet's deep connection to the natural world. Each painting is a meditation, a quiet moment in time captured for eternity. Monet is not simply painting a landscape. He is painting a memory of the landscape, a moment that passes with the wind, that dances with the changing light, and that will never exist again in exactly the same way. Monet's works are a reflection of his sensitivity to the world around him. As you watch him work, you can sense his deep understanding of the natural beauty that surrounds him. The way the light shifts across a meadow, the way the fog rolls over the water, the way the shadows lengthen as the sun sets. All of these things become part of Monet's vocabulary. His art is not about capturing the scene in front of him. It is about capturing the atmosphere, the fleeting quality of nature itself. The sense of impermanence, of change, is woven into every stroke. The Japanese Bridge, one of Monet's most famous works, comes to life before your eyes. The lush greenery surrounding the tranquil pond, illuminated by the soft light. The scene is not static. It pulses with energy, as if the plants and the water are gently swaying in a breeze. Monet's brushwork is so light and fluid that it's almost as if the water itself is moving under the lily pads, rippling with the breeze. You feel the warmth of the scene, the tranquility of the water, and the soft, dappled light that falls on the bridge. There is no urgency in this painting, no sharp lines or edges. There is only the calmness of nature, the serenity of a moment captured in perfect stillness. As you watch Monet, you realize that his focus is never on the subject itself, but on the relationship between the light, the colors, and the air around it. Each brushstroke is a dialogue between the painter and the world. Monet is not simply an observer. He is a participant in the scene, absorbing its atmosphere and letting it pour out onto the canvas. The paintings become an invitation to enter this world, to pause for a moment, and to take in the beauty of the fleeting moment. You can almost hear the faint rustle of the leaves in the breeze, the gentle splashing of water against the banks of the pond, the distant chirping of birds in the trees. Monet's work doesn't just depict these sounds, it creates them. Through his use of light, color, and texture, Monet's paintings evoke a world that is not just seen, but felt. It is a world that invites you to experience the passage of time in its purest, most delicate form. As you stand back and take in Monet's Water Lilies, you realize that his art has captured something timeless. The surface of the water, although still and silent, reflects the changing sky above. The ripples from the lightest touch of the wind, creating a gentle disturbance. Monet's ability to capture not just the world, but the feeling of the world, its transitory nature, its beauty, its quiet harmony, is what makes his work resonate so deeply. As you step away from Monet's studio, the tranquility of his work lingers in your mind. His paintings may have been controversial in his time, but they have become a timeless part of the world's cultural fabric. Monet's legacy is not just in the technique he pioneered or the beauty of his landscapes, but in the way he taught us to see the world differently, to appreciate its fleeting beauty, to immerse ourselves in the quiet dance of light, and to find serenity in the simplest of moments. The studio feels quieter now, a stillness settling over the space as if time itself is taking a breath. Outside the windows, the world continues on, but here, within this room, there is a sense of eternal calm. You feel it too, the weight of centuries of artistic legacy resting gently in the room, in the air, in the very walls that have witnessed the creation of some of the most profound works ever conceived by the human mind. This is the world of art, the world of masters whose works transcend time, whose brushstrokes continue to speak to every soul that encounters them. But now, in this moment, the focus shifts from the individual genius of artists like Leonardo da Vinci, Rembrandt, and Monet to something broader, to the very legacy they have left behind. Their works are not just confined to galleries or museums. They live on in every brushstroke, in every line of color, in every captured moment of the world. These paintings are not just objects to be admired. They are living, breathing things that have found their way into the hearts of millions, inspiring, comforting, and even challenging those who gaze upon them. As you sit in the soft light of the room, you feel the weight of that legacy, not as a burden, but as a gift. The works of the great painters are not static, nor are they merely preserved in time. They continue to evolve, to transform the way we see the world, the way we feel about life, beauty, love, and loss. These works were born from personal struggles, from the deep wells of pain, joy, and passion, yet they transcend the personal to become something universally human. Through their art, these painters have invited us to witness their most intimate emotions, their deepest thoughts, and in doing so, they have invited us to connect with something greater than ourselves. Now, imagine yourself standing before one of these masterpieces, the Mona Lisa, with her enigmatic smile, her eyes following you across the room. You can feel the connection, that inexplicable bond between artist and viewer, between past and present. The smile, though subtle, speaks volumes. There is mystery, yes, but also a depth of understanding, a quiet invitation to see beyond the surface. It is a call to look deeper, to understand the complexity of human emotion in a way that words alone could never capture. Da Vinci's gift was not just in the technical perfection of his painting, but in his ability to capture the very essence of his subject's soul. Then shift your gaze to Rembrandt's self-portrait, where the artist stares at you through his own eyes, full of weariness and wisdom. His brushwork, filled with layers of light and shadow, speaks to the passage of time, to the inner complexity of self-reflection. You see him not just as a painter, but as a man wrestling with his own mortality, with the loss of fame and fortune, and yet, still, there is light, there is life in his eyes. In this work, Rembrandt reveals something profound, that even in the face of decline, even in the darkest moments, there is still something worth preserving, something worth creating. His legacy is not just in the pictures he painted, but in the humanity he captured. As you stand before these masterpieces, you can't help but think about the lives of these artists, the struggles they faced, the sacrifices they made, and the very real human emotions they poured into every piece of art. Each brushstroke was an act of rebellion, an assertion of their inner truth in a world that often rejected them. Vincent van Gogh, misunderstood and tortured by mental illness, created the Starry Night, a swirling, vibrant expression of both his genius and his suffering. His brushstrokes, bold and filled with urgency, captured not just a scene, but the intensity of his inner world. In doing so, he transformed his pain into something eternal, something that would continue to resonate across time and cultures. But it wasn't just Van Gogh who transformed suffering into art. Every great painter had their own battles, their own struggles with fame, with health, with the pressures of life. Claude Monet faced personal loss and financial struggles throughout his life. But his Water Lilies remain as a testament to his unyielding passion for capturing the world's fleeting beauty. The softness of the brushstrokes, the subtle shifts of color in his landscapes speak not just of the world around him, but of the world within him, a world of observation, of quiet reverence for the small moments of beauty that others might miss. The work of these great artists continues to reverberate through the generations. Their paintings are no longer confined to their time. They belong to everyone who looks upon them. These works are more than just art. They are a conversation, a shared experience between the artist and the viewer. The emotions they evoke are not bound by time. They reach into the depths of the human soul, speaking to something timeless, something universal. And as you reflect on the legacies of these painters, you realize that their work is not just a product of their time, but an enduring part of the human experience. In this chapter, the focus is on the legacy of these great painters and the enduring impact of their works. Their paintings continue to inspire and connect with people across time and space, becoming a universal language that transcends cultural and generational boundaries. The chapter emphasizes how these artists transformed personal pain and struggle into masterpieces that speak to the deepest emotions of the human soul. Through their work, they have left behind something that is not just for the history books, but for every viewer who encounters it, making their legacy eternal. As the quiet evening deepens, the room around you seems to fade into a soft, comforting blur. The only thing that remains vivid is the rich legacy of art, reverberating through the ages like a gentle hum that will never cease. You feel it almost like a pulse beneath your skin. You are surrounded by the immortal creations of the greatest painters, works that have captured more than just the world's beauty, but the soul of humanity itself. These masterpieces are more than just art. They are living testimonies of the complex tapestry of life, of triumph, sorrow, joy, and pain. You feel connected to something greater than yourself, drawn into the timeless conversations held between the canvas and the viewer. The power of a painting lies not in its visual beauty alone, but in the way it stirs emotions deep within you. When you look at Da Vinci's Last Supper, you see not just the figures of Christ and his disciples. You see their humanity. The expressions on their faces, captured in subtle detail, convey not only the moment of betrayal, but the overwhelming weight of what it means to be alive. The use of light and shadow creates a drama that speaks to the heart, reminding you of your own moments of conflict, of facing the unknown. Then you are drawn into Pablo Picasso's chaotic world, where every form is distorted, yet the emotional truth of the subject is never lost. In his works, you can see the tumult of the human spirit, the struggle between reality and abstraction. As you gaze at Guernica, you can almost feel the anguish, the grief, and the anger that Picasso poured into this monumental piece. Though painted in dark, intense hues, the painting radiates a sense of deep power. The figures, writhing in agony, are not just abstract shapes. They are symbols of pain, of the human cost of war. The impact of this painting goes beyond its visual elements. It speaks to the very core of your being, stirring feelings of helplessness, rage, and a yearning for peace. Now, as the music of the past continues to gently echo through the room. You are transported to the world of Vincent van Gogh, whose work resonates with the pulse of raw emotion. His Starry Night, swirling and full of movement, reflects not just the beauty of the night sky, but the intensity of his inner world. The thick, textured strokes of the paint seem almost alive, each brushstroke carrying with it the weight of Van Gogh's troubled mind. Yet, within that chaos of movement and color, there is a sense of peace, a quiet acceptance of the world's beauty. Even in the midst of personal struggle, you can almost see Van Gogh standing there, surrounded by the vivid sunflowers that would become so iconic in his later works. His brushstrokes are bold, full of energy, but also full of tenderness. Each petal of the sunflower seems to pulse with life, as if they are reaching toward the light, toward the hope that Van Gogh so desperately sought. His paintings, though deeply personal, transcend the artist's own experience, offering a window into the universal struggle to find meaning and beauty in the world. The light in the room softens, and you find yourself gently carried away by the emotional depth of Claude Monet's work. The tranquility of his Water Lilies invites you into a world of calm. Each stroke of color blends together to create a seamless reflection of nature's beauty. The soft blue and green hues swirl like the gentle ripples on a pond. Monet's paintings invite you to take a deep breath, to pause and reflect on the fleeting moments of life that are often overlooked. His brushstrokes are not just marks on a canvas. They are invitations to see the world differently, to focus not on the static details, but on the movement, the light, and the life that surrounds us. As you drift deeper into Monet's world, the lines between reality and the painting itself blur. The colors are no longer just pigments on canvas. They become the very air you breathe. You can almost feel the softness of the flowers, the coolness of the water, and the lightness of the breeze that flows through Monet's garden. The stillness of the pond, the soft ripples that travel across the water's surface, invite you to let go of everything that surrounds you and simply be in the moment. Each painter, in their own way, captured something timeless. It is not just their technical skill or their groundbreaking techniques that have earned them their place in history. It is the way they were able to capture the human experience in its purest form. Leonardo da Vinci, with his search for truth in both science and art. Rembrandt, with his exploration of light and shadow, revealing the depths of the human soul. Van Gogh, with his emotional intensity and ability to convey the turbulence of the heart through bold, raw color. And Monet, whose serene landscapes offer us a glimpse of peace, of quiet reflection, and of beauty in the simplicity of nature. These great artists have left behind a treasure trove of emotional depth, each painting a window into the soul. The more you look, the more you see, not just the scenes they painted, but the lives they lived, the struggles they faced, and the beauty they found, even in the darkest corners of their worlds. Their legacy, captured on canvas, will continue to speak to generations, reminding us all of the power of art to transcend time and connect us to the deepest parts of our own hearts. As the night deepens, a soft calmness settles in the room. The world outside fades into the quiet hum of the evening, but within the sanctuary of art, time seems suspended. The warmth of the candlelight flickers, casting shadows that stretch gently across the floor. You sit in the quiet stillness, surrounded by the masterpieces of Rembrandt, Monet, Van Gogh, and Da Vinci, as if their presence fills the room. Though the artists themselves are long gone, their works continue to live on, resonating deeply with the heart and mind. Each painting before you is more than just a visual experience. It is an invitation to connect, not only with the artist, but with the profound depths of human emotion. Their paintings do more than capture a moment in time. They communicate something timeless, something beyond mere representation. The world may have changed since their time, but their works remain as relevant today as they were when they were first created. You feel the emotional weight of the brushstrokes, the story of each piece unfolding as your eyes trace the contours of the canvas. Monet's Water Lilies, for instance, are not simply a study of water and flowers, but a meditative reflection on life's passing moments. The fluidity of the water, the soft blending of colors, transports you to a place where time seems to dissolve. You imagine yourself beside the pond, feeling the cool breeze on your face, hearing the gentle rustling of leaves above, and watching the water ripple softly beneath the weight of the sky. The moment is fleeting, yet in its impermanence it is beautiful, a delicate reminder of the fleeting nature of life and the beauty that exists in those quiet, transient moments. In Van Gogh's Sunflowers, you see more than just vibrant yellow petals. The raw energy in each brushstroke speaks to the passion and the pain of the artist. These flowers, though bright and full of life, are tinged with the knowledge that nothing in this world is permanent. The vibrant brushstrokes, thick and textured, carry the weight of Van Gogh's emotions, his longing for connection, his deep need for understanding, and his fierce desire to capture the beauty he saw, even in the face of his own internal struggles. You can almost feel the intensity of Rembrandt's gaze in his self-portraits, where the artist's face becomes a reflection of his soul. With every brushstroke, Rembrandt pulled himself into his work, revealing not just the physical features of his face, but the emotional turmoil he was experiencing. There is something deeply personal in his self-portraits, something raw and unfiltered that invites the viewer to step into his life. You sense the weight of his financial struggles, his personal loss, and the solitude that often accompanied him. Yet, in his paintings, there is a quiet acceptance, a recognition of his place in the world, and a reverence for the art that he created in spite of the darkness surrounding him. The very essence of Leonardo da Vinci's works, especially the Mona Lisa, captures a fleeting moment in time, one that is filled with mystery and emotional complexity. The subtle smile, the enigmatic eyes, seem to hide more than they reveal. As you observe her, you begin to feel that she is not simply a portrait, but a window into something deeper. Leonardo's genius lay not just in his technical skill, but in his ability to capture the complexity of human emotion in a way that was revolutionary. In her gaze, you sense both the mystery of her identity and the profound stillness of time standing still. As the paintings before you continue to capture your gaze, you realize that these works are more than just art. They are conversations that transcend the boundaries of time. They invite you to reflect, to feel, to connect. These artists, though removed from their time, continue to speak to the present moment. Their struggles, triumphs, and emotional depth resonate with the modern world just as powerfully as they did in their own. In their work, they left behind pieces of themselves, emotional truths that continue to inspire and move us. The legacy of these artists extends far beyond the canvas. Their work continues to shape the way we experience the world, pushing us to look deeper, to connect with the fleeting beauty around us, and to understand the emotions that make us human. Through their paintings, they have given us a mirror into the soul, a window into the complexities of life, love, and loss. And in this quiet space, you feel that connection, not just to the art, but to the artists themselves, whose voices echo in every brushstroke. As you sit with the stillness of their legacy, you realize that art is not just about the creation of something beautiful. It is about the journey of the artist, the exploration of emotion, and the willingness to share that inner world with others. These masterpieces, though frozen in time, continue to live, evolving with every viewer who gazes upon them. The artists may be gone, but their voices live on in every piece of their work. In this moment, as you reflect on their legacies, you feel a deep sense of gratitude for the gift they have left behind, not just in their art, but in the way it continues to connect us all. The room is bathed in a quiet calm, a silence that feels like a gentle breath in the still of the night. The flickering candlelight casts soft shadows across the walls, and the faint hum of distant sounds from the world outside fades into the background. In this moment, you feel the weight of centuries of art, not as distant history, but as a living, breathing conversation that transcends time. The works of Da Vinci, Monet, Van Gogh, and Rembrandt have endured, not just because of their technical mastery, but because they continue to speak to the soul, to touch the core of human emotion in a way that is universal and eternal. Each artist's work, though unique, forms part of an ongoing dialogue, a shared expression of what it means to be human. You realize that the beauty of their art lies not just in the images they created, but in the way their work invites us into their world, allowing us to experience their struggles, joys, and aspirations. It is a conversation that transcends the years, reaching across generations to touch every viewer, every soul that encounters it. As you sit quietly, reflecting on the paintings before you, the atmosphere seems to shift. The Mona Lisa's gaze catches your own, and for a moment, you feel a connection, not just with the woman in the portrait, but with the mind that created her. Leonardo's genius lies not just in his technical precision, but in his ability to evoke something deeper, something beyond the surface. The smile, though faint, speaks volumes. It is not a smile of happiness, but one of knowing, a knowing that life is fleeting, that beauty is both transient and eternal, that every moment contains layers of meaning, if only we are patient enough to observe. In her quiet presence, you feel the weight of time, a reminder that we are all part of a larger story, one that began long before us and will continue long after we are gone. Turning your gaze to Monet's Water Lilies, you are transported once again, this time to a tranquil garden where light dances on the surface of the water and the colors shift with each passing moment. The stillness of the pond is almost palpable, inviting you to pause, to breathe, to simply be. Monet's work was not about capturing the world as it is, but as it feels, fleeting, changing, and full of hidden beauty. In his paintings, the light is alive. It moves and shifts, creating moments of stillness and motion, of light and shadow, all at once. Monet's Impressionism was revolutionary because it showed us a new way of seeing, not through the sharp, defined lines of realism, but through the fluidity and subtlety of perception. As you gaze at the water lilies, you can almost feel the coolness of the water beneath the lilies, the quiet rustle of the leaves in the breeze, the softness of the sunlight as it filters through the trees. Monet's work invites you into this space, not just as an observer, but as a participant, as someone who can feel the light, the air, and the rhythm of nature around them. In this space, time seems to slow, as if the world itself is taking a deep breath. The simple beauty of nature becomes something transcendent, something that speaks to the eternal, to the unspoken rhythms of life. Then there is Vincent van Gogh, whose work speaks directly to the soul with its raw emotional intensity. Starry Night pulls you into a world that seems both dreamlike and deeply real. The swirling stars, the deep blues and yellows, the thick, textured strokes of paint, they all seem to pulse with energy. Van Gogh's work is alive with feeling, with motion, with an intensity that mirrors the turmoil he felt within himself. Yet, in that turmoil, there is also beauty. The stars in Starry Night, though chaotic in their swirling motion, radiate warmth and light. The night sky, though turbulent, holds a sense of mystery and wonder. As you look at the painting, you can almost feel the cool night air, the weight of the darkness surrounding the bright, swirling stars. Van Gogh's art speaks of contrast between light and dark, calm and chaos. But it is also about connection, about finding meaning in the smallest moments, even in the face of personal pain. You feel the pulse of Van Gogh's spirit in every brushstroke, a testament to the power of art to transform personal suffering into something universal, something that speaks to the hearts of all who see it. Rembrandt's paintings, too, are an ongoing conversation, not just with the viewer, but with the artist himself. In his self-portrait, you see the weariness of a life filled with both triumphs and losses. There is a deep humanity in his work, an honesty that draws you in. Rembrandt's self-portraits are not just representations of his face, but of his soul. His brushwork is layered, building up the texture of his skin, the depth of his eyes, and the nuances of his expression. There is a sense of vulnerability in his gaze, a recognition of his own humanity. And in that vulnerability, there is strength. Strength in his ability to face himself honestly, to capture not just his image, but his internal world. As you study Rembrandt's work, you realize that his genius lies in his ability to turn the act of self-exploration into something universal. His paintings are not just about capturing the outer world. They are about capturing the inner landscape of the human experience, the quiet moments of introspection, the intensity of self-awareness, and the acceptance of one's own flaws and triumphs. You sit quietly, reflecting on the paintings around you, feeling the weight of their collective legacy. Da Vinci, Monet, Van Gogh, and Rembrandt, each of them left behind a piece of themselves in their work. But their legacy is not just in the art itself. It is in the way their art connects with you, with every person who encounters it. These works are not just about what they show, but about the emotions they evoke, the conversations they spark, and the connections they create. Through their art, these great painters have shown us that even in our quietest moments, even in our deepest struggles, there is beauty, there is meaning, and there is a way to communicate with the world around us. The night continues its slow passage. and the stillness in the room deepens, wrapping the space around you like a soft embrace. The quiet hum of the world outside is now distant, and the only sound is the gentle flicker of the candle, casting its delicate light over the canvas before you. As the painting continues to hold your gaze, you begin to feel the presence of these great artists, Da Vinci, Monet, Van Gogh, Rembrandt, not just as creators of art, but as souls whose work lives on beyond them, echoing through the halls of time. Their brushstrokes have become immortal, and in every layer of paint, every swirl of color, there is a story that speaks not only of their personal struggles, but also of their triumphs. These artists, though their time on earth was limited, have left behind a legacy that stretches far beyond the canvas. The world they lived in, with all its uncertainties and challenges, has long passed. But the art they created continues to breathe, evolving and resonating in the hearts of those who encounter it. You realize that the true power of their work lies in its ability to transcend time, to be experienced not just by those who lived alongside them, but by generations to come. Monet's Water Lilies, Van Gogh's Starry Night, Da Vinci's Mona Lisa, and Rembrandt's portraits live on as windows to their souls, offering something universal, something eternal. As the moments stretch on, you find yourself reflecting on the transient nature of human life. The artists whose works you are surrounded by knew this truth better than most. They lived lives of intense emotion, their art often born from personal trials, heartbreak, and moments of deep solitude. Yet they turned these experiences into something beautiful, something lasting, something that would continue to speak long after they were gone. In the quiet of this space, you begin to understand the depth of their achievement. They have captured life, not just in its physicality, but in its essence, the fleeting, the profound, the soul-stirring aspects of being human. Da Vinci, with his unrelenting pursuit of knowledge, didn't just create the Mona Lisa or the Last Supper. He captured the human experience in its fullness, the serenity, the mystery, the complexity of human emotion. His ability to blend art with science, to explore not just the outward form, but the inner workings of the human body and mind, made his work timeless. The sense of wonder that permeates his art, that quiet curiosity about the world, is what continues to draw people in. The Mona Lisa, with her inscrutable smile, invites us into her world, a world that is as much about the questions we ask as it is about the answers we find. Her expression is a mystery, yes, but it is also a mirror, reflecting back our own uncertainties, our own emotions. As you gaze at Monet's Water Lilies, the soothing ripples of the water seem to move gently before you, their soft, fluid shapes, inviting you to relax, to lose yourself in the peacefulness of the scene. Monet's genius lay in his ability to capture the essence of light, of water, of the shifting nature of the world around him. His art was not about precise, static depictions of reality. It was about motion, change, and the way nature continually evolves. In the quiet serenity of his water lilies, you can almost feel the breeze, hear the soft rustling of the leaves, and taste the freshness of the air. Monet's work, in its simplicity and its depth, encourages you to slow down, to breathe deeply, and to take in the beauty of the moment. Then there is Van Gogh, whose work continues to haunt and inspire. His bold strokes, his explosive use of color, his emotional depth Starry Night pulses with energy, the swirling stars almost tangible, as though they might leap off the canvas at any moment. Van Gogh's art speaks to the fragility of life, the battle between despair and hope, the longing for connection, and the search for meaning in a world that often seems indifferent. The rawness of his paintings touches something universal, a feeling that all who see his work can relate to, whether they have struggled with mental illness or simply faced the inherent challenges of being human. You can feel the resonance of their influence in everything around you, even in the most unexpected places. In the way light plays across a surface, in the texture of paint on canvas, in the colors that shift and change before your eyes, you can feel their legacy. It is in the way we now view the world, through a lens of emotion, of color, of light and shadow. These great painters showed us how to look beyond the surface, to see not just what is, but what could be. They taught us that art is not just about capturing reality, it is about creating new ways of experiencing it. You begin to realize how deeply their work has permeated every corner of human culture. Van Gogh's swirling skies continue to inspire modern artists and filmmakers. Monet's ethereal landscapes have become the blueprint for capturing the essence of light. And Rembrandt's use of shadow has influenced generations of portrait painters. Even Da Vinci, with his scientific approach to art, has shaped how we understand the relationship between the body and the world. The great artists of history do not just leave us with beautiful images. They leave us with a new way of seeing, a new way of understanding the world in the quiet of the room. You feel as though their influence is woven into the very fabric of the present moment. The world around you is full of reminders of their artistic vision. Every brushstroke, every curve of light, every movement of color is a reflection of their legacy. They have given us the tools to see the world in a way that is both deeply personal and universally shared. Their work invites us to look deeper, to listen to the silent conversations that art can provoke. In the paintings of Monet, the world moves and shifts with the light. In Rembrandt's portraits, we feel the complexity of the human soul. In Van Gogh's turbulent strokes, we sense the intensity of emotion. In Da Vinci's studies of anatomy, we understand the delicate beauty of life itself. You realize now that the legacy of these artists is not just in their works, but in the very way we perceive the world. Their influence continues to shape not just the art world, but the way we connect to life itself. Through their work, they have given us permission to see beyond what is immediately in front of us, to dig deeper into the layers of our emotions, to understand the beauty that exists in the most fleeting of moments. As you sit back, you feel a profound sense of peace wash over you. The paintings, though created centuries ago, continue to breathe in the world today. They continue to connect us to each other across time and space through their shared humanity. In the quiet solitude of their studios, each artist worked with the knowledge that their work would outlast them. What they didn't know, however, was the immense power their creations would have on the generations that followed. Their art has become the thread that ties us together, offering solace, inspiration, and understanding to all who encounter it. The quiet that surrounds you deepens as you sit in reflection, your mind still lingering in the space where the legacy of these great artists lives on. You sense a shift, a gentle pull, inviting you to understand that art is not merely a solitary act, but a shared experience. The works of Da Vinci, Monet, Van Gogh, and Rembrandt did not end with the final brushstroke. Instead, they opened a doorway, a gateway into a timeless conversation, one that continues to ripple through the centuries, flowing from the past to the present and extending into the future. The legacy of these artists is not confined to the galleries or museums where their work is displayed. It is carried forward by each person who encounters their art, who feels something stir within them, and who allows their work to shape their own perceptions of the world. Art in its purest form. As you sit, feeling the weight of these great paintings around you, you realize that their beauty exists not just in their execution, but in their ability to connect us all. Whether it's the quiet contemplations evoked by Monet's soft watercolors, or the intense emotional resonance of Van Gogh's vibrant swirls, each piece invites us into a dialogue with the artist, and through them, with ourselves. We are reminded of our own vulnerabilities, joys, and struggles as we look at these works, and in doing so, we find our own reflections in the canvas. As you reflect on the enduring nature of these masterpieces, you begin to feel a deep connection, not only to the artists, but to the generations that have come before you. The paintings we gaze upon today were once revolutionary, challenging the conventions of their time, and yet now they are pillars of cultural history. With every brushstroke, Monet opened our eyes to the fleeting beauty of the world, showing us how to see light as it dances on water, how to find magic in the ordinary. His landscapes, once ridiculed for their lack of precision, have now become the foundation for modern art, teaching us to embrace imperfection and to celebrate the momentary beauty that surrounds us every day. Van Gogh, in his raw, unfiltered emotion, painted not just the world around him, but the emotional landscape within. His colors are a testament to his tumultuous spirit, the strokes of his brush representing his inner battles, his struggles with mental illness, and his desperate need to communicate with the world around him. What makes his art so universally relatable is the intensity with which he captures the human condition. His work speaks not only to his own pain, but to the pain of all of us, and in doing so, it offers comfort. There is beauty in the chaos, and Van Gogh's legacy is one of transforming suffering into art that speaks directly to the soul. Rembrandt, with his mastery of light and shadow, taught us that the truest essence of a person cannot be captured by mere physical appearance. His self-portraits are a window not just into his face, but into his soul. Through the interplay of light and dark, he explored the depths of human emotion, revealing the complexity of self-identity and personal reflection. His work does not simply depict, it reveals. It invites us to look deeper, to consider the moments of quiet introspection that form the foundation of our own identities. Rembrandt's legacy is a reminder that the human soul is far more intricate than what the eye can see. And through his art, we are offered a glimpse into that deeper, unspoken world. And Da Vinci, perhaps the most famous of them all, bridged the gap between art and science, showing us that the two are inseparable. Mona Lisa's enigmatic smile, though often regarded as a symbol of mystery, also speaks to the artist's meticulous observation of human anatomy, his understanding of light, and his pursuit of perfection in the human form. In his work, Da Vinci blended creativity with intellect, showing that art is not just about aesthetic beauty, but about the deeper truths of nature. His ability to capture both the outer and inner world through art is what continues to inspire not only artists, but scientists, architects, and thinkers from all fields. As you sit surrounded by their legacies, you realize that art is not a solitary act, but part of a much larger, ongoing conversation. The work of these great masters speaks to the heart of human experience, and by encountering their art, we participate in that conversation. Each time someone views a Monet, a Van Gogh, a Rembrandt, or a Da Vinci, they engage in the same dialogue that started when the brush first touched the canvas. This conversation is timeless, crossing generations, cultures, and borders. These artists have created not just works of art, but experiences that continue to connect us to one another and to the deeper layers of our shared humanity. You reflect on how their influence lives on, not only in their art, but in the artists. They've inspired the conversations they've sparked and the lives they've touched. Their works continue to shape the way we view the world, reminding us that art is a medium for connection, a way to reach across time and space to speak to one another. Through their paintings, we find ourselves, we find others, and we find the beauty that binds us all together. The legacy of these great artists is alive and breathing, carried forward by every person who encounters their work and allows it to touch their soul. As you sit in the quiet stillness, a soft sense of peace settles over you. The weight of the previous chapters lingers gently, and you find yourself reflecting once more on the timeless bond between the great artists of the past and the world today. Monet, Van Gogh, Rembrandt, and Da Vinci, though they lived and worked centuries ago, have given us a gift far greater than just their paintings. They have offered us a way to see the world, to feel, and to connect with the human experience. In a way that transcends time, it is not just their brushstrokes that resonate with us, but the emotions, the truths, and the stories that are embedded in their work. The beauty of their art is that it speaks to something deeply universal. No matter how much time passes, their creations continue to touch the hearts of those who encounter them. The quiet reflection in Monet's Water Lilies, the intense emotion in Van Gogh's Starry Night, the honesty in Rembrandt's self-portraits, and the eternal mystery in Da Vinci's Mona Lisa of these works continue to live and breathe because they speak not just to the artist's time, but to our own. It is the unbroken thread of human connection that runs through each of these masterpieces, creating a bond between the past and present. Imagine walking into a modern art gallery or standing before an art lover in a bustling city and witnessing someone become completely absorbed in Van Gogh's swirling skies or in the quiet contemplation of Monet's gardens. It is not just the physical beauty of the works that draws them in, but the shared emotion they feel with the artist. The connection between the creator and the viewer is alive. The work does not belong to a specific time or place. It belongs to anyone who is willing to pause and truly see, to feel the quiet depth of the artist's expression. In this space, time does not matter. The work of these great artists continues to inspire, to provoke thought, and to heal. It is not just about admiring the technique, though their mastery is undeniable. It is about what their work allows us to feel. When you look at Monet's soft brushstrokes on water lilies, you are not just admiring the beauty of the pond. You are invited to slow down, to take a moment and appreciate the fleeting beauty in the world around you. The way light changes and dances on the water's surface. When you look at Rembrandt's self-portrait, you are not just seeing an image of the artist's face. You are invited to reflect on the passage of time, the inevitable march toward aging, and the complexity of one's own journey. The connection between these great works and those who view them is profound, and it speaks to the transformative power of art. Van Gogh's Starry Night remains an image that resonates with millions. The bold, swirling strokes that convey not just a scene of the night sky, but the artist's inner world, his turmoil and his yearning for understanding. His raw emotion pours from the canvas, and you feel it as if it were your own. Art has a way of making the personal universal. Van Gogh's struggles, his pain, his desire for connection, all of it becomes a shared experience for anyone who stands before his work. The vividness of his painting invites the viewer to embrace not just the beauty in the world, but also the vulnerability of the human condition. Similarly, Da Vinci's Mona Lisa continues to fascinate and intrigue. Her enigmatic smile, her eyes that seem to follow you wherever you go, invite a sense of mystery and wonder. The Mona Lisa is not just a portrait of a woman. It is an invitation to question, to wonder, and to engage with the ambiguity of life. What is she thinking? Why does her smile seem to hold so much? With every viewer, the Mona Lisa offers a different interpretation, a new story. The painting speaks to the very nature of human perception, how we are constantly searching for meaning, constantly reading between the lines, constantly interpreting the world around us. Monet, with his ability to capture the shifting nature of light and the passage of time, invites us to see the world in a new way. His Impressionism was not just about the visual world, but about the emotional experience of perception. His Water Lilies are a reflection of both nature and the artist's inner life. The colors seem to blend together, forming a tapestry of emotions that invites the viewer to sit quietly, breathe deeply, and experience the stillness of the moment. Monet's work teaches us that art is not just about what is seen, but about what is felt, about the fleeting nature of time and the beauty of the present moment. As the quiet reflection continues, you realize the power of these artists' work lies not just in its ability to capture beauty, but in its ability to evoke emotion, to invite introspection, and to connect us with the eternal. The work of Van Gogh, Monet, Rembrandt, and Da Vinci is not simply about painting a picture. It is about creating an experience, a moment in time that is both personal and universal. Their art continues to speak to us long after they have passed, offering a bridge between generations, between cultures, and between hearts. The artists may have lived in different times and places, but their work continues to be a timeless conversation. Through their art, they have left us with something eternal, something that transcends time and place. Every brushstroke is a whisper from the past, a reminder that art is not just an object. It is a living, breathing thing that continues to connect us all. It is a shared language, one that speaks to the soul, one that invites us to pause, to feel, to reflect, and to connect with the deeper truths of the human experience. As the candlelight flickers softly in the room, you are drawn into a moment of quiet reverence, surrounded by the masterpieces that have shaped the world's cultural landscape. The paintings of Monet, Van Gogh, Rembrandt, and Da Vinci still breathe, their legacy echoing through the ages. In the stillness, the works of these artists continue their eternal conversation, not just with those who lived in their time, but with you, with anyone who encounters their art. The canvas becomes a bridge, connecting not only the artist with the viewer, but the viewer with themselves. In their works, these artists have captured more than just the visual world. They have captured the pulse of human emotion, the depth of human experience. You feel the presence of these great painters as you sit in the stillness, as if their spirits linger in the air. They are not just names from history. They are living, breathing presences, speaking to you through their works. Every brushstroke is an invitation to look deeper, to see beyond the surface, to understand the complexities of life in all its beauty and tragedy. The works you gaze upon are not simply remnants of the past. They are vessels of timeless emotion, carrying with them the very essence of what it means to be human. Monet's vibrant water lilies, which once seemed so fragile in their fleeting beauty, now stand as symbols of the eternal nature of the world's beauty. The gentle brushstrokes that seem to capture the essence of light and water invite you to pause, to take in the quiet magic that surrounds us. The flowers and the water ripple in a dance of color and form, reminding you that, though time moves relentlessly forward, the beauty of the present moment is something that will always remain. Monet's art asks you to notice the small, the delicate, the fleeting moments that others may miss, and to embrace them as profound reflections of the world's eternal beauty. Van Gogh's Starry Night, with its swirling, vibrant colors, speaks to the deep connection between the artist and the universe. Though Van Gogh's life was filled with pain and turmoil, his art reveals his ability to find solace in the chaos. The stars, swirling with intensity, seem to hold a secret, one that only Van Gogh understood, a truth that continues to resonate with those who stand before his work. You feel the rush of emotion in each brushstroke, each line of color, as if Van Gogh is reaching across time to speak directly to you. His legacy is a reminder that even in the most turbulent of times, there is beauty to be found, and that art, like life, is a reflection of both the light and the dark. The portraits of Rembrandt, especially his self-portraits, invite you into the artist's world of self-reflection and vulnerability. His use of light and shadow reveals the deep complexity of the human soul, showing not just the face of the artist, but the very essence of his being, the warmth of his gaze, the careful rendering of his aging face, and the intimacy of his self-exploration all speak to the universal experience of living, aging, and searching for meaning. Rembrandt's paintings remind you that the most profound truths are often hidden in plain sight, in the quiet moments of self-reflection, in the subtle shifts of light and shadow that reveal the complexities of the human heart. And then there is Da Vinci, whose Mona Lisa continues to captivate with her mysterious smile, inviting you to look deeper, to question, to wonder. The painting speaks not only of the artist's mastery of technique, but of his ability to capture the essence of his subject in a way that goes beyond mere representation. Da Vinci's genius lies not just in his technical prowess, but in his ability to see the world in a way that reveals its hidden mysteries. Mona Lisa's smile is not just a curve of the lips. It is an invitation to explore the complexities of the human soul, to question the nature of beauty, and to reflect on the timeless mysteries of life itself. As you sit surrounded by the artworks of these great masters, you realize that their legacy is not just in their paintings, but in the way their work continues to shape the way we see the world. Their paintings are timeless. Their influence is eternal. Through their art, they have shown us that beauty can be found not just in the visible world, but in the emotions that lie beneath the surface. Their work invites us to feel, to reflect, and to connect with something deeper within ourselves. In their mastery of light, shadow, color, and form, they have revealed the very essence of what it means to be human. And so, you leave the room with a profound sense of peace, knowing that the legacy of these great painters is not confined to the past but continues to live in every person who encounters their work. These paintings, which have stood the test of time, speak to us in a language that transcends generations. They are not just paintings. They are experiences, emotions, reflections of the human soul. The artists who created them may be gone, but their legacy is eternal. Through their art, they live on, forever intertwined with the fabric of the world.